All right, and the next book is a doozy. I am here with my man, Gray. What up, Gray?
Hey, Jim. How's it going?
Oh, lovely. It was going better before we have to talk about this. Though I do like talking to you, but when it's something like a White Widow #1, I start to question the books that we cover here at Weird Science. Because some of these, you read something and you do end up like, yeah, maybe I'll skip this one, but we're not skipping it. We don't skip things. We're going through this, and this is White Widow #1, written by Sarah Galley, art by Alessandro Miracolo, colors by Matt Milla, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. So we get Yelena Belova. She gets her solo series. You end up, I kind of was in a weird way. I was excited to see what this was going to be about. We don't have a true Black Widow book right now. I like Black Widow. I like Yelena. The problem is that Sarah Galley seems to have only watched maybe a couple things, and I say watched, not read, because this is straight out of the MCU, and it just doesn't feel right. Do you agree?
Yeah, it was a really tricky one to get through for me. This and like you're saying, Jim, I'll always give the #1 a chance. Went in like with my hopes high, like the fool that I am.
You are a fool. I'm just telling people that.
Fool for your loving.
When you read all the #1s, unfortunately, some are #2s, as they say down at the rec center. But you end up where you go into a book like this and you want to know, okay, look, first off, the story, how the character's being played out. But really what gets you in this is this attempt at humor throughout all of it. And I ended up telling you that, first off, you're doing this deal, and a lot of times you'll have, the comics, they end up using a story from this. Usually it's the opposite. You end up having the movies or the TV shows, whatnot. They'll base stuff off of a comic. Well, we're kind of shifting that, and especially at Marvel in my mind, because we are getting a bunch of books that do feel like they're only based on the other things but comics. So when you get this, it feels out of place because the humor, in my mind, is the humor that people are already sick of. They complain about in all the MCU movies and TV shows, for the past couple of years. And maybe this would have played out better, about, 5-6 years ago, maybe. But the play here, as I get it, it's trying also to be the Matt Fraction Hawkeye, which I do like. Some people don't like it now, whatnot, but I like that. And I liked it then. Right now, this just feels like, again, just hey, we're going to do quips. We're going to do little jokes. And in the meantime, we'll set up kind of a story because it's so straightforward, but yet confusing because you're going to end up convoluting it with all this humor. You're not setting up actual characters. You're not really doing much of a overall deal because by the end, I don't think anybody's shocked. When you find out who the villains are, the villains end up being this mega corporation, almost like an Amazon. They even mentioned that. But also, they seem to be recruiting assassins by sending them, metal arms and hips and things. So that doesn't work out in my mind. That already is like, okay, they're the villain. And then at the end, guess what? They're the villain. It's so over the top. And even the idea, like, one of the jokes is that this girl, Jessica, who we don't really know, and she ends up, I have to kill my handler, my mentor, because he ended up ditching me when I lost my arm. I'm like, what are we talking about here? Just to get a joke because the arm is given to her by the company Armament. I'm like, all right, because then I said to you, like, do they change their name to Legament if somebody loses a leg, or Hippament we get in this? But here's the thing. Anybody who has any bit of metal on them that isn't named Misty or Knight, just assume they're villains here and they work for Armament. But at the beginning, you end up having Cap, who comes to tell Yelena, hey, you can't kill people. You're better than that. Be better than that. Sayonara sucker, which then leads in a weird way, because it's not really that well spelled out, for Yelena to say, I'm moving to a small town. I'm sick of those Avengers getting in my business, so I'm going to go to Idle Haven. And what it feels like is fire and ice at DC. You end up having the fish out of water. You end up having Yelena, who gets bored with just the regular life, and we're going to end up with her meeting these quirky characters in town as she figures out that, oh my God, every town. It's like that classic where you want to have a nice little small town. Nothing goes wrong, but oh my God, there's this evilness here that I have to stop, and this armament just feels silly. What did you think about it overall before we kind of get a little more into it?
It was the humor was, well, the attempts at humor, it was just non-stop all the way through. It was so annoying. It didn't land for me. And then, as you were saying, Jim, I had no idea about the characters. Even by the end of the issue, I still got no idea about the characters. For somebody who's new to it, I want to get a bit of an idea of who they are. There's no setup there, was there? There's a very, very brief recap, just a paragraph, and it doesn't really tell you anything. That just she's a rogue, a rogue spy, a rogue agent. That's it. Okay.
I love the idea. Now, at one point, you even laughed at a bit because you end up having like a whiteboard, and even that gets convoluted. She's like, okay, well, I'm going to put down my opinions. I want to have 100 before I die. I'm like, you already have like 98. You're almost there. But it's like love, like neutral, dislike, hate. It's like too many going on. All you need is love, hate. But one of the hate deals is big syringes, especially in the neck, because they even show, as a baby, they came, put a syringe in her neck and things. And I love the idea. She says, I can't be a hero because I don't really have a dark backstory. I don't have a tragic backstory. Yes, you do. And you actually show it.
Didn't make sense, that. That's
panels,
all.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is this same deal. Like, what is Black Widow? I know it's an anti-hero type of deal, but she's there and you want to like her here because she's the main character. But she's not exactly overly likable in this, in my mind.
Very annoying.
The other people involved are even more because they're not even set up. You end up with this Martha at the beginning where the only setup for her to then turn heel, oh, my hip. Like, I hear that every day. It's usually coming from me. I'm an old man, Greg. Oh, my damn hip. I sneeze and I break a hip. I need armament to give me new hips. I need it. So you end up where that's it. The setup for this character who's what she calls a mentee because she's mentoring her. She ends up where Cap comes, starts tossing them around. Really, who she should be mad at is Cap. Not Yelena, but you have to twist it. You didn't come see me in the hospital. She's like, I didn't know you were hurt, whatever. And that's like one of the heel turns. Then you get this other woman, Jessica, is just talking on the phone. She's running this like, hey, I'm an assassin mentor for hire. Hey, what's up, Jessica? I thought it was Jessica Drew at first. And she's like, oh, man, I'm trying to kill all these people. All right, keep doing what you're doing. Oh, man, I don't have an arm, but now I do. It's armament. Oh, great. So once you end up where if you're Yelena and here armament is supplying assassins with appendages, things like that, you might want to look into that, especially when you're told by everybody in town that armament has moved in. They're buying up stuff, including Yelena's favorite coffee shop. These are the things going on. Where's my beans and jeans? One of the worst names for a coffee shop. I wish that they said, oh, didn't you hear? We went out of business because that stupid name, beans and jeans. What do they sell? Dungarees and coffee? It doesn't make sense. So you end up with that too. And
God.
the play of the idea that armament has now, I'm sure we're going to get like a Stepford Wives situation or whatever we'll get. Why would they even care about this small town anyway? Why would they want to buy up beans and jeans? And then we end up meeting some other characters, including the Zelda lady who owns Sharp Sweets, the confectionery place. Like this one, I live in a decent sized town. It's not a city. It's outside of Philadelphia, right? We don't have nonsense shops like these. We got a Walmart. We got things like that, a Giant where we shop. Like this place is like the hipster capital. And now all of a sudden, oh no, armament's moved in. I think armament's going to go out of business. I don't think that many people live in this town. It's kind of nonsense. But again, it's railing against something where 10 years ago might have been the thing. Oh no, Walmart's ruining small towns. Even when you go where you have the Welcome to Idlehaven sign, you conveniently don't show the population. A rabbit's there. I'm expecting 15 people live in this town. It's nonsense. But we're going to be introduced to them. And also Yelena has her dog, Bint Clarton. It's just Pizza Dog. It's just Hawkeye again. It's nonsense. And even then, you don't even play it up. She's like, oh, Piglet, you eat too much. You're eating all the things. And by the way, Yelena hates the Infinity Gauntlet. But yeah, through this, I'm trying to have fun with it, but it's not that fun. I mean, certain scenes, they go on too long to get nowhere. You end up where finally Yelena goes into this candy shop owned by this Zelda. Hey, what's going on? What happened to Beans and Jeans? Oh, didn't you hear they were bought up by Armament? Immediately an assassin just smashes through the window. This is a small town. They can't connect the idea where Zelda's like, man, they're really pressuring me to sell, but I own the building because I ended up suing Guar, the band, because a prop, probably like fake semen, ended up getting in her eye or something, so she ended up suing them to use that. That's not likable. You know what I mean? I'm sitting there like, how dare you end up getting upset at a band that, uses props and something went wrong. But who's going to get that anyway? Right?
Nobody. I know, it's completely random, like a reference, isn't it? As you say, from 10 years ago, this goes over most people's heads, especially the people that I think this writer is aiming for. They don't have a clue who Guar is.
No. And of course, you can't even say Guar, so you kind of, Amazon has to be like Amazgron. It's just nonsense. But you're trying to be bought out by the evil corporation that's buying everything out. They end up sending an assassin in to attack. The assassin doesn't do her job very well because never actually says, I'm here for armament and you better do, but it has a metal hip. We then find out it's this Martha from the beginning. Then you also get this Zelda who, how many times does she get attacked at a candy shop in a small town? She actually has a bat that looks like a Negan bat at first, but she has the play of a sock at the end. So when they grab the sock, she can still hit them. I'm like, how many people are you beating up in this town? Like, how many? Oh my God, I need those gummy bears. If you're going to do anything, at least make it like a dispensary.
What is it? The most dangerous town in America, a small town in America? Wow. What is going on?
This lady has a Negan bat to protect her candy shop in this town. Get out of there, Helena.
And at the end, you've got her like, she's drinking a bottle of vodka with this Zelda woman, and she's saying, I came to this town to have a normal life. It's like, you came to the wrong town, Jim. Completely.
Very wrong town. All she wanted was beans and jeans.
Yeah.
You end up, you drink a cup of coffee, you get all fired up from the caffeine, and obviously you want to buy pants. So you have that. So you end up where all this going down, they can't figure out that armament, the only other thing that's been introduced in this book is the bad guys. You're railing into the idea that armament's ruining, the town, ruining the country. You end up where they're like, I don't know. They don't even get to the point where they say, like, who the hell would attack a candy shop? There's only one reason, because she's not selling. That's it. It's armament. Please don't string it out. At one point, she's like talking about just nonsense. They're looking up stuff. Shit. Elena's just ridiculously stupid. They can't figure it out. Oh my, let's drink. Hey, I'm making tea. I'm having vodka. I believe that there might be problems with the 800 drones flying through town and this guy with his 800 video screens like it's Clockwork Orange, but in this it's Clockwork Brown because it's a bunch of crap. He's there looking and he's like, oh my God, this town, like, what's the deal? It's so bad. I'm trying to have some fun with it, but it's not that bad. It's forced fun. And when you end up where you're reading it, you cringe. There are cringy parts in this where, all right, you can even see when you get these other characters from her apartment building or where she lives, this little deal where, all right, well, we're going to deal with that person the next. It's always the quirky neighbors. Oh, man, the small town flavor of this, but it's nonsense. Like I said, where at one point, the only concern of this Zelda is that lady who bashed in with the assassin mask and tried to kill us. Why didn't she use the front door? Why aren't you worried that there's an assassin trying to kill you in a small town? So stupid. But that's that. What are your thoughts on it as we end?
Just like one random example of dialogue in here, Jim, and this is the part where she's making that list of love-like, neutral dislikes or whatever, and I don't know how old she's meant to be, but she's saying here, I'm working on finding out what I really think about things. It's like, what? you don't know what you think, so you're working on finding out what you think. Just the way things are worded in here, it's just all over the place, and the little drops of Russian here and there, it got so annoying when you had to look down to find out what it was translated as. It's like, why keep doing that?
Also, I said that Sarah Galley by the end realizes, oh crap, I think Yelena might be Russian. I better start really making the dialogue more Russian. It seems like it's when she's drinking. So instead of saying, all of a sudden she's like, in Russia, armament make you, like whatever she would say. She doesn't say that. But the idea of these weird, disjointed, even regular in English deal to get you that. But that's an audio thing. It doesn't play out as well on the page, especially when it just kind of gets thrown at you. But yeah, you're reading this and you see this Russian to then, she's calling her dog Bint Clarton. She's calling him a piglet. All right, thank you for pulling me out of the issue so I know that she said piglet. Just say piglet.
Yeah,
please.
Exactly. You keep getting pulled out, don't you? You get pulled out of the story continuously throughout it, not just with the bad writing, but the bad attempts at humour and the zero character development. Sorry, but this was a stinker, Jim, for me. Real bad.
It was a stinker. It was a real stinker. What would you give it?
I'm going to give this a 2.
Yeah, I think I might go 2.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.